to CSRidentity.com and let's understand his views on the subject. So could you tell us what exactly is the TCCI and how it all began?
Sometime, as a kind of a result of the Indian reform. Though it started off in 93, this idea, it actually materialized sometime in 96 because the group had to really look within, have consensus among companies. There were traditional companies, the bigger ones, the newer companies, the smaller ones, the urban companies and the rural companies, and there were so many complications within the group. Diversity, is the hallmark of our group. So you cannot oversimplify that diversity. You can't minimize that diversity. So we have to really find what form it will take really to shape this kind of a situation. And they conceptualized the idea of Tata Council for Community Initiatives sometime in 96, 97. And the whole evolution happened because we knew that the reforms will throw a little more of responsibility on industry and the companies. And it was necessary for industries to look within and see what we can do for society. There were a lot of pressures and inquiries from Confederation of Indian Industries, the Prince of Business Prince of Wales Business Leaders Forum, and all of them to really find out from Tata, because we have been doing it for such a long time, as to what kind of a solution we could give. But our management really took, its as usual stand, saying that we are not going to tell you or preach you because we are yet to know it ourselves within the group. We are just starting on the Tata Council thing. You walk along with us. If you find something interesting, you can take from here. So there was also an external pressure and internal realization which really co-created the TCCI. And TCCI happened actually, bottom up from the actual workers from the field. There were very few CEOs in the beginning. There were more officers and actual field workers in the first meetings, I believe, before I came in. And the whole thing is about participatory networking. The idea of CSR or CS, whatever you call it today, has been there very naturally in the group for a long time. But if you want to formalize it, well, we called it by several names. Still, it is in several names, not with a single name or a particular definition. But whatever it is, the main purpose is that every business has a certain power to create wealth and to distribute it. To maintain the integrity between how you create and distribute wealth is the final idea. You can take it by any name, you can take it any form, take it any which way, approach or whatever. But this is the main principle. So TCCI really had no mandate to create from the top. It happened naturally for so many years. New companies came, they went and saw the old companies were doing, and then, imbibed from them. And the older companies also never taught anything to the newer companies. No prescriptions, nothing. But there was a way of imbibing it through learning. It's like a habit. You see somebody's habit and you pick up from there. So it was a very organic process of close contact, being there, very tacit in form, and then people imbibe that. So what we had to really do was then become an enabler only. But enabler in the sense that you got out of the way in terms of removing obstacles if there were any. Like if there were needs for resources, try and convince the management that, reprioritize. Just be a little gentle reminder for resources, for people, for time, for priorities. And otherwise we are just a participatory network. There is no big or small. There is a lot of consensus building. This is the real Tata way. But whatever we have done, we have come to a very broad conclusion that there will be one Tata way of doing these things, which is all about systems, processes and all that. And there is a Tata-ness about it. That's behavioral, people-oriented, leaders, volunteering and all sorts of things. So this is how it all evolved. We started with about 8 or 9 companies. We are now 54 companies, which are all coming under the Tata brand. And earlier, as I told you, we were all in terms of, it used to be everybody coming sort of to this meeting, to these meetings. So what we have now done is, because it's a very complex group, we have a council which is comprising of only CEOs. Then there is another level at which I coordinate, which is the Vice President, General Manager level, who are sort of CS heads of their companies. And gradually there are volunteers and now there are recruitments, and therefore gradually this is becoming a kind of a career, a preferred career in fact in the Tata Group. Otherwise it is to piggyback on communications initially, then it slowly moved on to HR. Then we have this business excellence issue, so some of them started coming. But today I am pleased to say that there are business strategy people also coming into these meetings. And second level is getting more interested and stuff like that. And therefore, we have a kind of a cross-functional team that carries out in different companies. So that's really about the TCCR. It's a participatory network. We have council meetings about twice a year, and all of us at TCCR meet once or twice a year. We call them workouts, where themes are taken up and they have ideas to throw up. So the experience from the activities is distilled upwards. We give certain perspectives, the top management gives it relevance, and then finally it becomes kind of thought leadership on who we stand for, what we stand for and who we are, and then rolled into action.